Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into today's video, if you could just hit that subscribe button down below, that would really help me out. But today's video is a match reaction to Leeds losing 1-0 at St Andrews to Birmingham City. And I've just finished my live stream, so thanks to everybody who joined me in that. But I thought I'd sit down and do a little bit of a reaction to the game because I think it highlights some issues that we need to talk about. So the first thing is that, well, let's talk about Gnonto. So Gnonto didn't turn up to the game. He didn't want to play. He's already said this. My stance on the whole thing, if you want it, is that if a player wants to go, let them leave. Bring in the money. As long as the money's right, let them leave. Bring in the money, reinvest it. That's it. I don't care now. I'm not bothered about him playing for Leeds again. If we can get the money sooner rather than later, get the money in. That's fine. We can reinvest that in some players, and that brings me on to today's game because I think that's what we really need: some investment in recruitment. The defence pretty good actually today, but that was the issue, that our defence, our best player was probably Charlie Cresswell, and their best player was probably Dion Sanderson at right centre half. Both of them were cutting out most things, heading most things away, and neither team was really able to create a massive amount of chances in the game. And I think that tells a story because we didn't have that cutting edge and neither did they. So it was a 0-0, pretty boring game. When we look at the attacking momentum graph on SofaScore, it's very even as well. Although we had a lot more of the possession, they still created just as many decent chances as us. We had one where we just flicked it past the back post with Byram near the end. There was one where Dan James or Poveda, can't remember which one it was, put the ball in the box early, but Joffy was on his heels and couldn't get towards the ball, and we just need a bloody striker. We need a striker who can get in that box, who can make those front post runs, who is always expecting the ball to come in the box to him. And we just don't have that. I thought we did have that in Joffy. I thought he was the only player who would be like that, but he's not really even got that striker's instinct or that edge to go and get to the ball first. And I think a proper striker, if we brought one in, would be able to finish off some of the chances we were able to create today. I thought Dan James was okay. Obviously, he gave the penalty away in the end, but we'll get to that. So overall, yeah, like I said, the defence wasn't that bad, but we have brought in Joe Rodon now, so we have improved that department. He did come on at the end, obviously didn't get a chance to do much, hoping to see him in the West Brom game, which I'm going to next week. But yeah, so overall the defence wasn't that bad. Really, we need another central midfielder because Shackleton had to play a full 90 minutes today, and I don't think, while Shackleton is probably okay at playing that Archie Gray role because he could drop in at right back like Farke wants his right centre mid to do, but I don't think that Shackleton's good in any other position really. So the fact that he was almost playing in number 10, a bit of an advanced role from the normal midfield too, I don't think that worked at all today, but Farke didn't really have much choice because Jorginho Rutter's returning it from injury, couldn't really bring him on until pretty late on in the game. We didn't have enough options, so we need to bring in another central midfielder to really back that up. I think that was one of our main problems. Obviously, I'm not blaming Shackleton specifically, but it's not his fault that he's that type of player. He's more of a defensive player and more of like a bit of a box-to-box player. He's not a number 10. He's not a creative midfielder. He's a bit of a workhorse. And I don't think he was suited to that role at all, but we didn't have any other options because of our bench. We've got so many injuries now that we need to bring in some recruitment. So we need a right centre mid because we really struggled in that department. The other area we struggled, like I said, is the striker, so we need to bring one of them in. Dan James was okay and Poveda was okay, but they weren't really able to get anything going, but that's probably because they couldn't really get that link-up play with Joffy or Shackleton. And when you think about it, those positions are some of the most important positions in this system, and so they really do need to be filled. When you've got Sinistera fit, when you've got everybody else fit, Somerville, you've got a good attacking unit there. But we know that Sinistera is injury prone, so we do need to bring in somebody who can play in that number 10, who's a specialist in that number 10 role and will stay there. And we also need to bring in a striker because obviously Bamford's injury prone as well. So yeah, it causes a few issues. It was a very boring game to watch. It wasn't a good game at all. But I think it highlights a few issues where we really need to bring players in. And the fact that we've drawn one and lost one in our first two games back in the Championship shows that we as fans maybe have underestimated the quality of the division. Obviously Cardiff aren't a great team, and I'm pretty sure they lost 2-0 today to QPR, who also are pretty much tipped for relegation. But Birmingham City are a decent side, and I think we were expecting to go there and win fairly easily. In the end, it came down to a penalty. Meslier never saves penalties, but he got a good foot to it. You can't really expect him to save them, to be honest, because it's a penalty. Penalties are pretty difficult to save for the keeper. It's stacked against them. But Dan James, he just didn't look. He didn't. I'm not blaming Dan James, because he just didn't see that there was a man there in Ethan Laird, the right back, who also had a really good game. But Dan James just wasn't able to notice that he was there, and he clipped his heels and went down. It was a penalty. They scored at 89th minute. You just sort of knew that we were never coming back, and at that point we just sort of resorted to hoofing it up into the final third and hoping that we could get a flick down and a goal. It never came. Sam Byram came close with his header. Joffy came close earlier on in the game. Not Joffy, sorry. Dan James came close earlier on in the game, where he crossed it in, one of his low crosses into the corridor of uncertainty, which John Ruddy dived and saved. They were really the best of our chances, and yeah, it's a little bit worrying when we can't create. So we need a number 10, somebody in the Pablo Hernandez role, as we call it, because he's the only good number 10 that we've had over the last couple of years. Samu Saiz before that, but we really need somebody in those positions, striker and number 10, and I think it's desperate now. I think we really need them, because we're going to get left behind. I'm not panicking before people say. I'm not saying that this is the end of the world, that we've lost the second one and drawn the first one. I'm not, but I'm saying the signs are there that this is a bit of a downward trend. We still haven't won a league game since the Forest game, and that was months and months and months ago. So we need to bring in those players, and it is a little bit desperate. And that's because the window shuts at the end of this month. So looking at the clock now on my computer, it's the 12th. Obviously the date, but the clock is next to the date. The 12th today. So you've got 18 days to go and get those players. Just under 3 weeks. So it is a little bit now, the clock is ticking. We need to go and get those players. We need to bring them in, because at the moment we don't have enough to beat teams like Birmingham City. And yes, whilst Birmingham City are decent, they'll probably be getting in the playoffs this year. If we want to go back up in an automatic promotion spot, we need to be better than them. And we weren't today. And that's the sort of summary thing. We need to be better than teams like Birmingham, but we aren't, and we have to face that. If we sign some players, we will be better than those teams. I do really feel that. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll try to get back to as many people as possible. I think we'll have a mixed reaction. I think we'll have some people saying that it's not the end of the world, which I don't think it is, and other people saying it's a bit panicky now. I think I'm halfway between. I think it's not the end of the world, but just get some players in soon and it will be fine, and we'll be able to go on and still have a very good season. But Ipswich have won again today. Southampton have won again today. I think maybe theirs went 4-4 in the end. I can't remember. But I'm just concentrating on Leeds at the moment. We can only take it game by game. I'll be at the West Brom game next Friday, so I'll be doing a match reaction to that. In the week, there will be some videos on transfers, because I'm sure we will be getting transfers in. So, yes, thanks for watching Leeds Lately. Sorry, this one's been a bit depressing, but it's just this is what we need to do sort of video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that sub button as well. We're going to try and hit 10k by the end of the season, which I know is a big ask, but if every single one of you who aren't subscribed hit that sub button, there's a chance we can do it. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Leeds Lately.